The Wycombe Wanderers Show.
Welcome to this week's edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show. In the next hour, amongst other things, well, no, possibly just all of this, to be honest, we'll hear from the manager, Matt Bloomfield, looking back at the game against Charlton. We'll look ahead to the visit of MK Dons on Saturday. We'll chat to Phil as well with our match debrief as well. We'll hear from David Wheeler. We'll catch up with Ryan Tafazolli, who is this week's subject, I think if that's the right expression, of Knowing Me, Knowing Blues. We'll speak to former winger Roger Moore as well. We'll pay tribute to Bob Dell, who sadly has passed away. Also, we'll speak to Mark Gaitskell, who's the Chief Executive of the Wycombe Wanderers Foundation, live from the Warm Hub. And there's probably some other things as well, which I've failed to recall. But we'll bring you those and more, possibly, in the next hour. But first, I'm very pleased to say Phil is with us. And, of course, always, thank you very much for your time. And I guess mixed emotions after Saturday, because I caught the end of it, and both yourself and your rather excellent match summariser on the day sort of said that, if the game went on a bit longer, all 3 points could have been achieved, but it felt a bit like, it's fantastic that we come back from 1-0 down, but strange to feel a bit disappointed at the end.
Yeah, I think, on the balance of play, it's good to come away from somewhere like Charlton with a point, but then you look around the games that were going on that day elsewhere in the division and the teams that weren't playing, and it was a really good opportunity to put pressure on. So I think that's where the mixed emotions are. But when you're 1-0 down away from home, let's not forget Charlton are a big club, big budget, probably underachieving this season, but looking to get things turned around under their current manager. So to come from behind and get a point has to be a positive. And like I say, because the results didn't went our way elsewhere, then we're a point closer to where we wanted to be. So, yeah, bittersweet. But looking at the positives, a point, but then the negatives could have been 3. And
great to see Chris Farino get his goal, but also his overall performance in the game as well.
Yeah, great performance from Big Chris. Wonderful header. I don't think anyone was going to stop that. And Charlton had some big lads out there as well. So for him to meet that corner from Joe Jacobson so well and put it into the bottom corner was excellent. And he brought the ball down about 2 or 3 minutes after that in the box with his right foot, and it's probably worth remembering he did play striker when he was a bit younger as well, and you could see flashes of that. So yeah, he might come up with another couple of goals between now and the end of the season.
And so, what was your overall, I guess, kind of feeling, if you like, of after the game?
I think the positive with the point. I think, looking at what we've got to come now, I think 5 of our remaining 8 games are teams in the bottom half of the table, or those maybe scrapping down the bottom. So looking at our comparable run-ins with the teams that we're up against now to try and get into that top 6, I think there's probably the bottom 2 playoff places available realistically, and it looks like it's going to be 4 teams, possibly 5, going for those 2 places. So yeah, absolute faith and optimism that we're going to do it because of our recent history. We did it last year. So yeah, why not? Why not dream big and think we can get in there?
So great to hear from the manager afterwards, speaking with Phil.
I think we have to be pleased with a point. I think you've got to respect a point away from home. Of course, every game you go into, you want to take 3 points and win the game. Today was no different for us, but being 1-0 down, a tough place to come. I think we've got to be respectful of the point and pleased that from being 1-0 down, we showed that character to keep going, and I thought we got a well-deserved point today.
It was tough in the second half, Charlton with the lead, slowing it down, and you had to be patient, but the spark came from the sub, Nick Freeman.
Yeah, I thought Nick did really well when he came on. Fair play to Nick. Obviously played really well against Fleetwood a couple of weeks ago and did well against Burton, but then was ill, so missed a week's football. So, TJ's been good in that position, but we just felt that Nick's fresh legs and his willingness to go and get on the ball and make us play would be key. So I thought he did really, really well. Had a deflected shot that maybe he could have scored with himself. I was waiting for it to hit the neck. I thought it was in from my angle, but yeah, he did really well. So we've got to be pleased with his input.
Gareth McCleary missing out with injury today. Sam Vokes already injured as well. The injury is really hampering Wycombe Wanderers at this stage of the season?
It's tough. Obviously Gareth and Sam are big players for this football club, especially in those attacking areas. They're really big players for us. But we have to be pleased with the squad we've got. We've got to be respectful of the boys that are in the team. I think we all know how big a part they play, but the boys are really finding their way. I think Chem's, obviously making his way in the game. TJ's making his way in the game. These boys have played maybe 6 or 8 games in their career starts between them, so there's going to be peaks and troughs for those boys. There's going to be ups and downs. So we have to keep working with them. We're really pleased with some of the work they've done, and we want to make sure we keep improving them and moving forward.
And the moment for Chris Farino, I mean, you mentioned a few other younger players there. We've got to remember Chris still a young player as well, but good performance at the back today and took his goal very well. Yeah, most certainly so. It was a tough decision to leave Jason out today, and it's been mulling on my mind during the week which way we were going to go with the back four, and decided that Chris and Taff was going to be the pairing at the heart of the defence. I thought they did a lot of good stuff, and Chrissy, I think we probably forget that because he's established in the team at the moment that he's still really young, still learning his game, and it's hard to do it as a centre back. I think it's really tough to get that experience in league games. There's going to be little mistakes along the way, but we accept that. And I thought he was very good today and took his goal extremely well. Yeah, I think that sums up really well kind of the feeling after Charlton. So what can we expect this weekend? The MK Dons are coming to town. Well, I think this is a big game regardless of what stage of the season it's at, where the teams are in the table. It's a big game anyway because over the years we've had some big games against MK Dons, and there's a bit of needle on this one, which I think is great, adds a bit more interest as well. I mean, Wycombe Wanderers fans famously dislike MK Dons before a ball's even been kicked, as do large sections of the English game. Whether you believe in that or not, but that seems to be the truth. But yeah, Wycombe Wanderers, it's another team in front of them at Adams Park. Where they are in the table, they need the 3 points. But also quite brilliantly, where MK Dons are in the table, they also really need the 3 points, which adds another level of spice to the game as well, because they've had a dreadful season and are fighting relegation. So, they need the 3 points just as much as Wycombe. I think getting relegated for them would be quite disastrous after their recent history. I think Wycombe Wanderers need those 3 points as well to keep the pressure on the top six. So, a very spicy game before you've even looked into the recent history of it. I was going to say, because I'm sure many fans will have memories of living in the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, it's last May, wasn't it? What a night that was at Adams Park, by the way, the 2-0. That's the game that essentially got Wycombe Wanderers to Wembley in terms of the scoring of the goals. A defensive masterclass at Stadium MK as well. So, yeah, that's just one of the examples of the recent history we've had there. It's all recent history, isn't it, with those guys? So, which, again, really adds to the memories of it. I think, we're in a really good position coming into the game. I think Matt will be level-headed about it and see it as just another game, and he'll want to get that 3 points on the board. He feels that we've been unlucky, in terms of the chances created and the points returned so far. But now, 8 games to go, and the way that things are looking in that top six, we can really need to start putting some wins together now. And for anyone not going to the game, they'll be able to hear it live on Wanderers TV and, of course, on Wycombe Sound on 106.6. And you've recently discovered who you'll be having alongside you. Yeah, Danny Sender's back in the commentary box with us, which will be fantastic. If you're thinking about going to the game, then please do, because this game's got everything. Like I said, 2 teams fighting for very different reasons for an all-important 3 points. And the Wycombe fans can really play their part on Saturday and get behind the boys as well, because a decent win on Saturday can hopefully set them up for a really strong finish that will propel them into the top six. And historically, Wycombe fans have come out at this stage of the season and been the 12th person, and we really look forward to that happening again now. And as we heard last week, down to the final 4 home games now. Yeah, the final 4. There's posters up around town as well. If you're a business who wants to display one, there's all sorts of incentives as well. So head on down to Adams Park and pick some of those up too. Just get the town behind Wycombe Wanderers, because with the fire brigade up there this week, and they said, the guys there were saying that the Wanderers really put the town on the map and make the town proud. And this is the time of year to get involved. Pleasure to speak to you. Thank you so much for your time. Always a pleasure, Colin. Great to have Phil with us this week, and don't forget you can hear the extended version of his post-match chat with Matt on Wanderers TV. We also caught up with David Wheeler this afternoon to get his assessments on the game coming up. Of course, the former MK Dons player himself. I think it was a brilliant header by Chris and a great performance from him. I felt the game was very even. If anything, I think on chances we edged it. I think we started very well. And obviously, the goal was off the back of 5 or 10 minutes of pressure from them. I think probably overall the draw was fair, but we're always, when we score that late on, we're always going to back ourselves to try and go and win the game, and we were very close. And I guess other results going away as well, still just 3 points outside the top 6 now. Yeah, obviously, we were disappointed after the game, but we are actually that bit closer to our goal of making the playoffs. So, it's a funny thing how that it can change your perspective. And something else just happened this week, of course, there's Wycombe coming joint 6th in the Sustainability League, which must really please you. Yeah, definitely. Obviously, it's just really great that we're starting to make waves on that. There's obviously
it's never a finished work. It's you have to keep improving all the time. But obviously, next season hoping to be climbing up near the top of the table.
Are there sort of aspects which please you the most? For example, the floodlights, obviously they use less energy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the main thing is using less energy, and that's one of the biggest things. I think the exciting thing is that people are getting more and more engaged in the process, and we're going to hopefully get our fans a lot more involved in the process going forward. So I think that's going to make a huge difference.
Really important for you as a sustainability champion as well, the first PFA, and being at the club as well to help, certainly this club as well, get the message across. Yeah,
it wouldn't look great if we were bottom of the table, would it? It's good for me, but the main thing is that Wycombe's moving in the right direction, and it is.
And obviously this weekend coming up against one of your former clubs, does that feel a bit special? Because I think fans obviously find it interesting to know how players feel coming against teams they used to play for.
Yeah, no, it always adds a little bit extra. Like, I quite enjoy it, to be honest. I've been quite fortunate that I've scored against old clubs a couple of times. So it just means it's like a little bit more, gives a bit more of an edge for me, I'd say.
And in the table, not really suggesting they've had such a great season, but a team who's still quite capable.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. You don't go from being a team that was a game away from making the playoff final last year to useless. There's some very, very good players, very good technically gifted players, and it just obviously for various reasons hasn't worked out this season. But they've off the back of 3 wins, so they're going to be a tough test.
And does it feel extra excitement amongst the team at the moment because you're down to sort of the final 8 now?
Yeah. I always love this time of the season. It's like the business end of the season is what it gets called, and it's adds a little bit of excitement to it, and it's just much more enjoyable when you've really got something to play for.
And just finally, what would be your message to supporters, both about the sustainability but also about where the team is at the moment?
I'd say with the sustainability side of things, if you want to get involved, just get in touch. There's going to be things happening in the next few months to get everyone more involved in the process. Contact the club, contact me directly if you want to try and do that, and lend a voice and lend some ideas, because it's always going to help. What was the other part of your question? Sorry?
Just about where the team is at the moment.
Yeah, I think we're in a space where we've unfortunately obviously lost some big key players to injury, but the encouraging thing is seems to have happened throughout this season. We've managed to still come up trumps, so we've got to keep doing that. Great
chat to David Wheeler a little earlier on this afternoon, and also something to watch out for on Wycombe Wanderers social media tomorrow. It'll be the full episode of Knowing Me, Knowing Blues. Here's a preview with this week's subject, Ryan Tafazolli.
Ryan, hello.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you for joining me today. How are you?
Yeah, all good, thanks.
Good. I've heard you've had a haircut especially for this episode today.
I did say to Phil last week, I'm going to get a trim for this especially, and I stuck to my word. So.
I'm a little bit offended actually. You haven't watched any of these videos so far, Knowing Me, Knowing Blues?
I haven't, I actually haven't, but I didn't know about them.
But you get the gist of it, I'm going to ask you, basically a lot of fans have been asking questions specifically for you. We've got some good ones here today, so shall we jump into it? You ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, question 1. What is your go-to comfort TV show? That's from Grant.
Right now, I'm watching Lucifer with my missus.
Oh,
I don't know if you've seen that. Not Luther, Lucifer.
Lucifer.
Lacks a bit of substance, but it's good.
You're not selling it to us.
Or we've just started Married at First Sight Australia.
I've watched one episode. I was actually hooked after one episode, but I haven't carried on yet, so I need to watch that.
Yeah, it gets feisty. Every episode's juicy.
Is it? Lots of bombshells and drama in there.
Yeah, literally.
Okay, from Bluey the Swan, if there was an over-the-top rope Royal Rumble match involving the current squad, who would win?
The current squad, okay, so obviously last season would have been an easy one, Akinfenwa. This year... Do you know what? I reckon when it comes to things like this, you got to take weight into consideration. Like, weight plays a big part when it comes to a Royal Rumble. So I'm going to go either me or Vokesy.
Just go for yourself. If you want to.
But there are a few like scrappers in there, TJ, Jaspers and stuff. They'd back themselves.
Maybe that's the next bit of content we need to do. We'll do a Royal Rumble, see who wins.
I think they were going to make one happen the other day in training.
No way. Or maybe you could do it on YouTube.
TJ and Jasper were going to have it out. First one to hit the ground loses, but I think Kean stopped it.
Okay, Johnny King would like to know who puts more effort into their eyebrow grooming, you or Adam Leathers?
Leathers. He gets his eyebrows. What do you call it? Threaded.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
That's just like a step too far, isn't it?
Well, there's nothing wrong with a bit of maintenance.
Yeah. The thing is, mine are like I've split these open about 10, 11 times now. So people call me I'm walking down the street sometimes and people are like, are you a boxer? And I'm like, no, I've just split my eyebrows open playing football.
Doing Royal Rumbles.
But yeah, I'll give that one to Leathers. He'll take that one. He'll be happy with that one.
Yeah, I think that's a compliment. What's your favourite cheese from Andy?
Probably nacho. I'm joking. Mozzarella, standard. I do like blue cheese as well.
Yeah, blue cheese. I used to hate blue cheese, but I'm a fan now. Andy, I don't know if it's a different Andy or the same Andy, would like to know who would win in a properly refereed table football match between you and Lily?
Lily. She's spicy. She gets down low and she's like, oh, I'm just chilled. Yeah, she'd win.
Oh, love that for her.
She was giving me good games in Dubai.
Lovely. Roberto said, from someone whose second name is always spelt wrong, what is the weirdest way your second name has been spelt or pronounced?
Someone called me Ryan Talzify once, and I just thought that was just way off it.
Doesn't even sound the same.
I know. Yeah, just like people adding E's and stuff. There's no E in my surname. Little things like that.
I mean, my name's Rebecca and I always get called Rachel, so it happens to us all, I think. Grant would like to know, we've already asked this one, it's on here twice, what's your favourite comfort TV show? Lucifer. Jack said, who's the most famous player you have played with?
Played with Victor Moses at school, Ivan Toney at Peterborough, Ben White at Peterborough, Jared Bowen at Hull. So one of them four. Nice long list there.
Tracy said, we get this quite a lot. Oh no, it's a little bit different. If you were stranded on a desert island, what food would you miss the most?
Foods? Oh God, that's a tricky one for me. Because in season I eat so healthily. Like I don't enjoy eating food really. In the off season though, if I was just like could eat what I wanted, I'd probably miss cake. I like cake.
Oh, cake. What cake though?
Victoria Sponge.
Oh, Victoria Sponge, really?
Yeah, I like carrot cake as well, but Victoria Sponge for me.
Okay, just your average Victoria Sponge.
Yeah. Like a nice homemade one with a lot of jam.
Lovely. Claire said, what made you want to start your YouTube channel?
Oh, I just had this idea when I was playing for Hull to try and like help people become footballers, and I thought the best way to do it would be grow an audience on YouTube first and then release programmes and stuff later down the line.
And then the rest is history.
Yeah.
YouTube famous.
No, not at all.
That's it. We've come to the end.
Is that it?
All your questions.
Oh, nice.
Well done, Ryan. You made it through.
Thanks a lot for
You survived the hot seat.
Oh, brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Still to come on this week's edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show, we'll chat to the Chief Executive of the Wycombe Wanderers Foundation, Mark Gaitskell, live from the Warm Hub. It's the final one of, the current season. And we'll be finding out a little bit more about what the foundation has coming up as well. And we'll hear from manager Matt Bloomfield. But first, with thanks as always to the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association, we'll catch up with another former player who around 40 years ago was plying his trade at Lokes Park, and shares his name with a former Bond actor. After leaving the club, he went on to play for Marlow and Flackwell Heath as well, and did some coaching at Chalfont St Peter. But first, let's hear from Roger Moore and his earliest memories of his first time at Wycombe Wanderers.
I was playing grassroots football. It was for Oakridge, which is originally a church side, and they played football every Saturday, never on a Sunday. And I remember playing against Flackwell Heath. And at the time, Mike Keane was the manager. And I had a good game, scored a few goals. And as my years went on, I basically ended up playing for Flackwell Heath. And after that, Mike Keane was manager at Wycombe Wanderers. And he said, I want to bring you down to Wycombe. And I thought, ooh, it's a big leap for me. And it's something you don't turn down. I had to go for it. We started off in the reserves, had a season there, which I found very hard at first, training with some of the first team players as well as some of the reserve guys. It was an experience, a big eye-opener for me. But it was nice to come from grassroots football and actually get to play in a semi-pro league, as well as play with some really good, talented footballers that was around me. After that, I hit a purple patch in my second season where I was just scoring goals left, right and centre, scoring for fun. And some of the other reserve team players were getting selected for the first team. And I didn't get selected. So about Tim Anning, who was the manager of the reserves at the time, he said, just keep going. Just keep doing what you're doing and it'll come. I trained hard, just keep doing my bits and pieces on the pitch, scoring the goals. And then I hit another purple patch where I was just scoring goals. And then I earned my first call-up for the first team. And it was a bit of an eye-opener. Playing at Lotus Park was a big eye-opener for me in the first place. And bear in mind, I played on Lotus Park before, but that was playing for grassroots football in cup finals and other bits and pieces. But actually playing for Wycombe Wanderers at the time and, playing in front of a crowd, it was brilliant. It was, you have that heartening moment. You think, wow, dude, I'm living the dream. I can't remember the first game I played in, but it was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. Absolutely loved the atmosphere. The crowds, they welcomed me in with open arms, which was really nice. Which is one thing about the Wycombe public. They are very nice to us, to the players and everything. That first game, it was nerve-wracking. Just getting out there, getting through the 90 minutes, doing what you was taught on the training ground and everything else. And it was, I really enjoyed it. Absolutely loved it. I think we won the game, but it was, when you get that buzz, you just want more. And it was, like I said, it's definitely something that will live with me for the rest of my life.
And extra special as well, being born in Wycombe and getting to play for, your hometown club.
Oh, God, yeah, it is extra special, yeah. It's, boy, it doesn't care which hometown you live in. If you get selected or you get picked to actually represent your hometown, and my dad he wasn't doing cartwheels, let's put it that way. He's not exactly a sportsman, but, it was a proud moment for him as for me. Especially like when I was at school playing football, that's one thing that you always dreamed about, playing for your hometown. And I had a lot of mates saying, well, you've achieved something that a lot of us didn't get that chance to do. And there was a lot of talented footballers around the town, the same age, even some of that were even a bit younger than me, who had that skill, had the talent, and were very, very good footballers. But I was in the right place at the right time, and they saw my ability. And sometimes I still pinch myself that I actually played for the club, and it's brilliant. Absolutely loved it.
And your experience really must have shown how competitive just playing in the reserves can be.
Oh, yeah. Playing in the thing is when you played in the reserves, it was that step to that next level. It gives you that step, and you just got to believe in your abilities. I remember playing against Woking for this is like halfway through the season, and the reserves was doing really well, and I remember that the guys were saying, look, this is going to be a tough game, and they had a few first-team players in their side, and Woking were a pretty good side at the time. And you got to say to yourself, right, I've got to raise the bar a bit more. And we won the game. I scored a goal. I think I did an assist as well. So, and it gives you focus to say, right, my goal is to play in that first team. That was how I was driven. And it's like any sort of any sportsman, you got that drive to actually get to that next level. And yeah, it was to get through that game. And then that was the one that kickstarted me to getting into the first team.
And you're in a league-winning side in the reserves as well.
Yeah, it was, that was unbelievable. Absolutely, we was doing really well throughout the season. And I can remember some of the games we played in where we were just untouchable. We absolutely cruised some of the games, but there were some games that were really good, tough battles, which we enjoyed. But getting to the end of the season and winning the actual league itself was, I still got the medal, believe it or not. Winning that league was not just for me, for the team itself, was a great season. It really was a very good season. The boys played out their skins. They really did. And I played my part, and the goalkeeper played his part as well as the defenders, and the whole team, brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
So were there any other games or occasions that really stand out, either in the reserves or the first team, during your time at the club?
The game against Woking was one of the standout games for me. The game against, I think it was Dulwich Hamlet. Well, let's go back to the Woking game first. The Woking game was brilliant because I really enjoyed that game. We all clicked that day. I mean, it was a very good match. Then when a few games after that, I went into the first team. It was the last game of the season. I think we played against Dulwich Hamlet, and I scored my first goal. So, that was one of my standout moments. As a goal-scoring game, I remember we played against Addleston, and I scored a hat-trick. And the nice thing about that game was we won the game quite comfortably, but it was everybody just looked at me and thought, wow, everything you was hitting was going in the back of the net. So it was really nice. And when I read the Buxbury Press the following week, it was a nice little write-up regarding me scoring a hat-trick and everything else. So they're the three sort of standout moments, two in the reserves, and one scored my first goal against Dulwich Hamlet for the first team.
I'm sorry to bring up a blemish on your disciplinary record, but I
knew that was going to happen.
I understand there was a bizarre altercation with a teammate which occurred. Do tell us more.
Yeah, it was we was playing against Wembley away, and I remember I was running down the ring, skipped past a couple of tackles, and one of my colleagues, Paul West, God bless his soul. He was the midfield general, and he was calling for the ball, and I skipped past another player, and I didn't pass to him, and I got fouled basically. So he's come up to me, goes, and he's shouting at me, and he said, "Why didn't you pass the ball?" Blah blah blah. And I looked at him and I just pushed him away. And I said, "Look, what is wrong with you? We've got a free kick. We get, and he's still going on." And we had an altercation. And the referee was, I don't know what was wrong with the referee. For some reason, he had it in for me that day. And he spoke to me earlier regarding something I said to him, and he didn't take too kind. So. And then I had the altercation with Paul, and then he showed me a straight red. And I thought, golly. So I was like, I couldn't believe it. And at that moment, I honestly thought my career at Wycombe was finished. I really did. And so we got into the changing room. I was in the changing room, I was sitting there, and I was thinking to myself, really and truly, this could have been avoided. So when the game was finished, I was just sat in the changing room, and Paul, the boys came in, and Paul started at me again, and we were arguing, but it was handbag stuff more than anything else, because after that, like I said, I served my suspension and everything, and we got on, like I said, we shook hands. It was handbags at dawn more than anything else, but yeah, it's something that it was the heat of the moment, and the worst thing about it was we got like I say, I think that game against Wembley, one of my best mates was playing for Wembley. And, you know, he was basically just... I remember speaking to him after the game, and he goes, boy, you know, really and truly, you shouldn't have got sent off, but, you know, it happened. And we lost the game 9-2, which was, believe it or not, still one of the worst defeats I've ever encountered in my football career. You know, getting sent off didn't really help. You know, there's been a couple of times where my discipline has gone out the window in matches, but you know, I'm a winner. You know, and I always want to try and do my best on the field, and I always want to do the best for my teammates and try and win. But maybe it was the red mist came down and I shouldn't have done it. But, yeah.
Another stand-up moment was the tour of Malta, which I know you really enjoyed as well.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. It was one of those tours where I was drafted in, like, last minute. And that was when Mike Keane was sacked from the football club. And Paul Bence took over. And they said, well, you know, you're part of the first team. Come along. We want you to get involved with the first team. And so I said, yeah, you know, I said to my dad, I'm off to Malta. And he goes, what are you doing out there? He goes, oh, it's with the first team, Wycombe Wanderers. And he's going, wow. So I was really excited, and got out there, and lovely weather, and it was brilliant. The two games, I was fortunate to score in the first game where I think we drew 1-1, or I think it was 2-2. I'm not 100% sure. Yes, 2-2. I think we drew, and I think it was Salima Wanderers. I'm not 100% sure. And then I played the second game, and we won it 1-0, and I scored the winning goal. So for me, that was wow. That to me was brilliant. Absolutely, I was over the moon about that. Absolutely brilliant. And that's another moment where that I could take with me to my grave to say, yeah, the tour was brilliant. Really, really enjoyed it. Absolutely brilliant. And I can remember Brian Lee after the second game when we played the second Maltese football team. He said, "Oh, do you fancy coming out here?" And I goes, "What, to play again?" He goes, "No, permanently to play," because one of the managers said asked if I wanted to transfer over to Malta to play for the team. But I said, no, I couldn't. There's no way I was gonna give up Wycombe to move over to Malta. And plus, not only that, I was still quite young as well. So, you know, when we got back to the UK, it was a case of like trying to fight for a place in the first team at Wycombe. Brilliant, absolutely fond memories. Good time with the guys, the other Wycombe lads. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant fun.
And you mentioned Mike Keane being sacked. Another turning point was when they scrapped the reserves, because that must have been quite a blow.
Yes, it was. The sad thing about it was when Mike Keane left. You know, I owe a lot to Mike. He really, you know, because without his guidance, his influence as well, and his, you know, he actually believed in me. He says, "I know you could do it. I know you got the skill. I know you got the talent to thrive in this team." And when he left and the disbandment of the reserves, and then when Paul Bence came in, I'm not going to beat around the bush about this. The thing with Paul Bence, he said to me when we got back to it from the tour, he said that really and truly you might not feature in the first team plans until later on in the season. And I said to him, I looked at him, I goes, well, I don't understand why you see that, because that was when he was looking to bring in the farmer duo of Declan Link and Simon Reed. And I didn't know nothing of them. As far as I knew, there were two strikers who are going to come to Wycombe and basically just, you know, I would have to fight for a place like everybody else. So when they put me back in the reserves, I was like, I can't believe this. You know, Paul Betts didn't believe in my ability, even though he saw what I did out in Malta. It was a bit disheartening. So I didn't let it get to me. I remember the reserves had a new manager as well. And golly, it wasn't the same. The spirit had gone from the previous. Most of the reserve players who won the Suburban League under Tim disappeared. They got on a new set of players and everything else. And it just wasn't the same sort of vibe, camaraderie. The talent that actually were playing was, to me, I felt was below par. It just wasn't the same. And I had a couple of head-tos with the manager regarding this situation. And I spoke to Paul Bence again. I said, look, you know, I don't understand why you put me back in the reserves. You know, I'm not fighting for a place and training with the first team. And he wouldn't give me an explanation. So, yeah, it was a bit disheartening. So I had to, I stayed there as long as I could. And that's when I got approached by Marlow Football Club. And I had to make a decision whether to stay in a team where I didn't feel like I was wanted, or go pastures new. So I decided the latter, go somewhere new.
So what do we find you doing these days?
So these days, I spend most of my time watching my son play football. Mason, he's at Wycombe Wanderers developments at the moment. He's doing really well, and where I am now with my first love has always been music, away from the football. DJ at events as well as DJ abroad. I've been to Croatia. I've DJ'd in France as well as in Portugal. And I work on Starpoint Radio, which is a soul internet radio station. Could be found everywhere on your smart speakers and all sorts. So it's just do that on a Thursday night, 9 o'clock till 11, and Saturday afternoon, 3 o'clock till 5 o'clock. And looking out for Mason is seeing him blossom as a footballer. He's got it inside. He's got it inside him at the moment that, you know, that's what he wants to do. And so I don't get involved in the coaching side of Mason. I just try and speak to him, tell him where his pluses, the positives, and where he needs to improve, and then he takes it on from there. It's great watching him coming up, and you know, at 13, I said to him that when I was his age, I scored 60-odd goals, and he looked at me, he goes, yeah, right, Eddie, Dad. And then I pulled out a little trophy, and I said, there it is, there's the proof. It was like, you have to roll his tongue up off the floor. But it's nice watching him play, and you know, I do hope he succeeds, because he has got the drive to succeed. And most of the time I was just chilling out and with my partner Beverly, and we just do, you know, we just go out. We still go out and party now and then, but like I said, the spare time is just, I'll get at that age now where I'll just leave it to the youngsters, let them do what they have to do. And I'm more than happy to do the radio shows and do a few events and enjoy my time, my spare time when I got it.
Pleasure to catch up with Roger Moore and get his memories. First ex-player that we've had on that's plugged another radio show. We spoke to him earlier in the week before the sad news that one of his former teammates and former club captain, Bob Dell, has sadly died suddenly at the age of 64. He fell ill whilst working at his building company and passed away at Stoke Mandeville Hospital after suffering a heart attack. Our thoughts, along with the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association, of course, with his wife and 2 children and brother Ant as well. He played for the club between 1979 and 1986, making 397 senior appearances.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Final part of this week's Wycombe Wanderers Show still to come. We'll catch up with manager Matt Bloomfield. We'll hear from our international fans. More on that. the studio haunted. And also, we'll bring you up to date with what's happening with Wycombe Wanderers women as well. But first, I'm very pleased to say we can speak to Mark Gaitskell, who's the Chief Executive of the Wycombe Wanderers Foundation, live from the Warm Hub at Adams Park. Thank you so much indeed for speaking to us this week.
Hi Colin, good evening. Always a pleasure. Thanks for the invite.
I guess really sort of mixed emotions as well, though, because it's the last one.
Oh, it's a bittersweet feeling tonight, Colin. It's the last night of a 3-month, originally 2-month project. Our Wycombe Wanderers Warm Hub, which is our warm space for over 65s, and it's the last night, and we've had a bumper night because we've brought a group of local kids in who've also had a stadium tour. So we've had around 70 people this evening. So it's been a great way to finish for the moment. We do hope to come back.
And you must be so pleased with the reaction that you've had from those that have attended.
Yeah, look, it's been fantastic. Like I say, we'd originally planned to run for 2 months, and we managed to extend that for a further month because it had been such a success. And I think we've probably served close to 1,000 meals in that time. So we're delighted and hope to come back maybe as a cool hub in the summer.
And some of the highlights, of course, you've had current players, ex-players, and a radio show has been broadcast live from there as well.
We have. We've had some wonderful guests, including your fine selves from Wycombe Sound. We had Jasper Pattenden, who's been at the hub previously in one of the previous nights, and he's come down again this evening. Shows how much that he's had a lovely meal, which he wasn't supposed to, so I think he'll be in trouble when he gets home. But it's been a real success.
And I guess it really sort of goes to really highlight what the foundation's all about. Yeah,
I think we're here to ultimately serve the community, right? And using the football club and the power of football for good. And I feel like we do that. We've got such a range of projects. We help lots of different people. And this has been a really great initiative at a time where, the community and people are struggling. The cost of living crisis is real. We wanted to help that particular sort of demographic of over 65s. And, we felt that transport and getting down to Adams Park, as you know, might be challenging for that age group. So we added a +1. And actually, very few have used that +1. They've made the effort. They've come down themselves. And I think they've had a great time.
And some brilliant stories as well from people who don't necessarily come to watch the football normally. They've just heard about it and turned up for social purposes.
Yeah, we've spoken about this before. These aren't Wycombe fans or even football people, like you said. There are some, and some great stories of former Wycombe fans. I remember a couple we had in one of the early weeks, sort of in their 80s. They'd driven down to the stadium themselves, used to be season ticket holders, and now are sort of a little bit unstable on their feet, so don't necessarily feel completely safe coming along to match their experiences with thousands of people. And back they came. So the look on their faces to come back to Adams Park was fantastic. And then, like I say, the people that aren't necessarily football people, it's their first exposure to the football club, and I think it's been a good one.
And you've got another fantastic event coming up next week. Again, a great example of what the foundation's all about.
Yeah, we do, and like I mentioned, that we're trying to reach out and engage with as many people in the community as we can. It's the Muslim holy month of Ramadan, and we're hosting a community iftar here at Adams Park next week. And this is not just sort of 10, 20, 30 people. We've got 200 people booked up coming to the event next week. Maghreb prayers are also going to take place on the pitch, which is fantastic. And anyone who knows a groundsman for a football club will know they are very, very particular over their grass pitches. So this is really fantastic again, that the club are fully bought into it. The groundsman's been great. So we'll have 200 odd people praying on the pitch on Tuesday. Then they'll break fast and go for iftar in the Caledonian Suite, which is where the hub is tonight. And then there'll be some further prayers, and it'll just be a wonderful evening.
And as you say, really special to show that the club, is so accessible for all. Yeah,
look, football is, it's obviously very prominent and prevalent at the moment. Football's for everyone, and football clubs are the heartbeats of their community, and they should be. And therefore they should be accessible and be reaching out and engaging with everyone. And that's what we're trying to do.
And what do you hope the main message sort of fans take away from the work that you're doing is?
Probably what I've just described there, that the football club is here. It's here for everyone. We want everyone to kind of enjoy the experience when they come to Adams Park, but also that it's not just football. Again, we've spoken in the foundation, we do lots of different projects. Football's a key vehicle and present in a number of them. But there's lots of things we do that there's no football in sight. Like this warm hub, we haven't really talked football. We haven't had football on the screen. But the football club is the vehicle that's facilitated these programs happening. So, yeah, look, we're here to help the community. We secured some funding last week actually for another new program, a youth intervention program, which is enabling us to recruit another full-time member of staff. So we've actually got a job out there at the moment, an inclusion and health development officer role with us. So we're trying to help people. We're trying to create employment opportunities. We're trying to grow the presence, obviously, of the football club as well. And it's a very rewarding role.
Well, it's been a real pleasure to speak to you. And just remind us where people can find out more about the work the foundation does, or anything that we've spoken about.
So they can follow us on our social media platforms. So that's at WWFCFDN or via our website, which is wycombewanderersfoundation.co.uk.
Thank you so much, Steve, for your time.
Always a pleasure. Thanks, Colin.
Wycombe Wanderers Foundation Chief Executive Mark Gaitskell speaking to us here at Wycombe Sound on the Wycombe Wanderers Show. Luke joins us to tell us about another great initiative. We hear about the worldwide Wycombe. What's it called?
Don't ask me, because I never can get the last word right. Fans from around the world, Colin. International fans.
The Worldwide Wanderers Phenomenon.
Yeah, that's the right one. Yeah. Yes, we heard previously from Australia a couple of weeks ago. This time we're in America, where Ken and Annie Coffman are supporters of the Chairboys. Nigel has been talking to them, and this sort of starts off by talking about how they got into the club.
I would say back in the probably mid-1990s, I developed an interest in soccer on this side of the pond, football in the UK, in Europe, the rest of the world. And I followed the Mexican League, actually, initially. And I think it was more around the FA Cup competition. I got some exposure. We subscribed to a satellite service at the time that broadcast the FA Cup. I think it was through Fox Sports here in the U.S. And I just developed an appreciation for the English game, the level of play across all the different leagues, from Premier all the way down to League Two and even into the non-league. I felt was exceptional. And I used to follow Sky Sports News just to try to, start to follow the different leagues and all. And I noticed that there was this club called Wycombe that had recently gained promotion into League One from League Two. It's just my quirk. I'm not the kind of guy that tends to follow the teams at the very tops of the leagues, whatever sport I follow. I kind of find interest in the teams that are maybe mid-level or what have you. And anyway, the Wycombe story just seemed very impressive to me. They gained promotion. It was back in the days when Gary Waddock was the manager. And so I followed them through that season. They ended up getting relegated, unfortunately, but it was the following season where Gary basically picked up again for maybe a month and a half or so. And then he was let go, unfortunately. And that's when Gareth assumed the mantle of player manager and actually would sub himself in at times during the games. And it was just fascinating. I had not seen a club that kind of functioned that way with the player manager dynamic, and just the energy and the players and the level of play I thought was superb. I didn't get a chance to watch them back in those days because we didn't have any video feeds, unfortunately, in League Two back then, but I did end up subscribing to Player HD back then, and I would get up every morning, kind of like I do now, on Saturdays or midweek. We watch them during midday here in the U.S., but I would listen to their Phil Catchpole and others that would be broadcasting the games from these different arenas in the UK, and just listen to the live audio and follow them that way.
That's really interesting. And so really you didn't get a real understanding much in those early days for the surroundings that the football was being played in even.
That's right. Exactly.
Wow, that's really unusual, because we take it for granted, being British football fans. You see it everywhere. But from your perspective, it must have been quite a revelation then when a few years later you actually had the first opportunity to actually see the games as well as listening to them. So, for instance, I would imagine that would be early iFollow, would it?
Yeah, early I follow. The cable service that we subscribe to, or satellite service through Fox Sports, I think occasionally would broadcast. Well, I could see them maybe through FA Cup games because they would broadcast some of the FA Cup games. Occasionally they would have a League One, League Two match, but it was very rare. So yeah, absolutely. I follow was really my first opportunity to, other than watching highlights, via I think Player had highlights back then, and then of course they were on YouTube, I think in some cases as well. So I was able to kind of it was like a discovery mode for me, just trying to learn what the stadium looked like and the pitch and the different grounds around the country and all. But certainly iFollow was a revelation because it certainly added that visual aspect that I had been missing up to that point.
And we appreciate the advent of social media because now we like watching the Groundhopper, blogs. It's fun to watch the different grounds in the UK.
Yeah. And Annie, I believe that the pair of you have a local team. Again, going back to what you just said, Ken, very much the underdog type teams, not an MLS team. I believe they're called the Switchbacks. And I've done my research since we last spoke. And I believe they play in very similar colours to Wycombe as well.
Absolutely.
Sky blue and black this time, though.
Yeah, their colors are now, they actually were red, white, and blue with mostly black and blue when they first started out in 2015 in the USL Championship, which is our Division 2 behind the MLS, right, in ranking. And they switched when they built a stadium downtown, a state-of-the-art stadium, to the cyan blue and black. And so it's very similar colors and very similar feel. You were talking the other day about community involvement and knowing the players by name and getting to know the club members. And that's very much what we share here with the Switchbacks.
That's interesting to hear. So do you actually have discussions with your fellow Switchback supporters about your connection with Wycombe and what you hear and learn from across the pond?
Absolutely. And we have some transplants from overseas that are here, friends that have local clubs they follow, both in the Premier and the League One and League Two. So it's fun to share our experiences of following our English teams from over here.
Oh, that's really interesting. And I've got to say, I do admire your backdrop, and I'm led to believe the other side is all set up for the Switchbacks. So yes. I've got to admire your dedication to the cause.
Yes. We really feel it's important to support your local clubs. I think everyone in the community should support the clubs. They bring the community together and they do so much to foster that friendship with your neighbors.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Although if you're talking to someone who lives sort of 160 miles away from my home club, and I would disagree, of course, but the bottom line is I first came across being a Wycombe fan through being a local and being based in that area, and life has taken me away. So yes, I've continued to support Wycombe, very much like you're talking about my home club, and I get reminded every week that I should be supporting the local team down here, but no chance.
It's that loyalty, right?
That's right.
That's right. It's really interesting listening to how it's developed over the years for yourselves. But how would you say things have changed in sort of the last 18 months since Wanderers TV's come on board, and obviously Phil Catchpole's become a staple of the team now, a bona fide member within the club structure as well. And also about the organisations like I'm involved with, the Wycombe Sound and so on, where, they're providing additional services to the club. The Wycombe Wanderers Show on a Thursday evening is recorded on a Thursday evening, etc. Do you get that sense that the club's really, really trying to embrace the support wherever it is around the world?
Absolutely. Yeah. Since the initiation of Wycombe Wanderers TV, the amount of content that's available, moving from the iFollow kind of canned content that follows from club to club. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was great compared to what I was, what I had access to in the past. But the the previews, being able to join an hour ahead of the game and kind of listen to the lineups and sizing up the opponent from the commentator's perspective. The post game interviews with the managers and with the players. The amount of deep visibility into this whole process when Gareth left, and kind of how that whole all went out, and that fly on the wall kind of bird's eye view into the room when it was announced to the players, and how everybody reacted, and the amount of affection and good luck and best wishes, and I hadn't seen anything like that for a club. And so really the combination of Wanderers TV and also Wycombe Sound, with the the amount of lead up and kind of post follow up, and even the halftime commentary, it's really been great. It's really expanded the coverage for Wycombe.
And, I really appreciate what the Couigs have brought to the club. Rob and Misty coining, worldwide Wycombe phenomenon, opening up your marketing to being able to allow the worldwide fans to get memorabilia. We wouldn't have a backdrop like this without their involvement. So it's been great. It really has.
I really appreciate that, because one of the things that a club of our size struggles with always is going to be finances at the end of the day, and to be able to expand your fan base, and quite vociferously really in the short period of time that Wanderers TV and the Couigs have been in place is quite extraordinary, because literally if you look at a world map at the moment, there's not many places, in general areas that we haven't got a presence now. I'm not saying it wasn't there before, but perhaps now it's been highlighted. And what I'm finding is we talk to people from the Mexico, for instance, from South America or whatever, and football is really taken seriously there, or soccer in your terms, and they one little seed is sowing 5 or 6 more around them. They go down to their own local club, like you would down to the Switchbacks, for instance, and they'll chat with their friends about their English club. And then miraculously, they like you said, they're after merchandise, they're after scarves, flags, and so on and so forth. So I really can see the commercialization aspects that the Couigs have brought in, and how much it's improved our standing beyond the shores of the UK.
Well, and with social media, you mentioned earlier, do I share my love for the Wycombe with my local fans that are Trailheads members for our supporter group of the Switchbacks? Through that group, I actually connected with some folks that are in California that support Wycombe. Through social media, Twitter, Instagram, I've connected with
in Denver, too.
Somebody in Denver, somebody in Oklahoma. I mean, it's really great that we have stateside fans that are Wycombe fans.
Yeah, definitely. And by the way, there's some in Ohio as well, if you go looking, by the way.
Yes, right. Yes.
and Delaware as well. Just to put it into perspective, even
it's across the US.
Yeah, even in areas that I wouldn't call necessary sporting areas traditionally. But it's really
the sport
interesting.
Is gaining momentum over here.
Yeah, it's really interesting to hear what you're saying, and you were saying when we spoke earlier in the week, Annie, about the fact that in 2020 you were planning to visit to see the boys play live, etc., and how you've had to put that off. I'm hoping that you will have a chance, as you intimated earlier in the week, 23-24, to see you over here and actually give you the opportunity to become part of the family in a literal sense. Yeah. I'm sure you'll be welcome with open arms, and obviously let us know what your itinerary plans are, and I'm sure Phil and the rest of the boys at the club will look to do the best they can for you going forward.
We're excited about that. We're just waiting on the boys that decided they wanted to make the trip with us, and we're waiting on their passports. So if we don't make it for the end of this season, probably the launch of next season.
Right. So you'll be welcome with open arms, that's for sure. I like to wrap up really with what you get in terms of supporting Wycombe. As you know, we talk about it from my perspective, and a lot of fans, we grew up in the town and everything else. But I think what I really want to get down to is how Wycombe, unlike a lot of other clubs, have been able to capture your hearts and bring you to the table and want to support the club.
I think it's the grittiness, the style of play. I spend time in the forum, in the fan boards and different things, and Wycombe sometimes takes a knock for how they play. Honestly, I don't. I mean, their style of play is very effective. So you can say what you like, but it works. And honestly, I don't see any huge difference. Of course, I'm a little biased, right? So I'm a fan, but I think their style of play. I think what Gareth provided and what Matt Bloomfield is going to continue with, that level of play. I know they had a little bit of a setback yesterday, but they'll be back on again Tuesday. For sure. But I think it's that. The other thing was just the, just kind of the history and, how the trust works and how, the Couigs, it was very clear that the amount of open disclosure, the amount of that family aspect, like you said, where, even in the leanest of times, you all were highlighting people that would come to the ground, that would sacrifice their time, to clean up and people whose lives revolved around Wycombe. I mean, for us, we are thousands of miles away, but it's part of our morning Saturday routine. It's 8 a.m. our time. So, it's something we look forward to. I've got another flag. I hang it over the mantelpiece right next to the television. And, we lead our own little individual chants of "Come on, you Blues" and "Wanderers" and all that kind of thing, just a couple of us. So, I mean, it's just, I guess it's really like any fan experience, but certainly the way I think Wycombe kind of conducts itself, how it's manages finances, even through the lean years, the decisions that have been made, the addition of the Couigs, and kind of just that history, and how they've risen up in their style of play. To me, just and I've always loved the color quartered color scheme as well. So it's just kind of the whole package,
From my perspective, you mentioned the other day characters. Of course, the Beast, right, pops right to your head as someone that you follow. Gareth playing as a player, Matt, all of them that have gone on to do other things now or doing something more for the club, and now we're building new ones, with Vokes, and it's just. Joe has been around for so long. We love seeing him play. It's just we're getting to know names and players, and I'm loving the new crop of players that are coming up. So we're excited for the club. I think they have a lot of potential.
Yeah, it's a class act. I mean, Gareth was a class act. Matt's a class act. You listen to the players. There's no prima donnas or anything like that. I mean, it's just pure class. The whole package, the club and the players, etc. Yeah.
Well, I've got to say thank you once again, Ken and Annie, for coming on and giving us your version of how you became a Wycombe Wanderers fan. We're delighted to have you as part of the Wycombe Wanderers family, and hopefully we'll see you in the not too distant future down at AP. As I say, I hope you heard the shout out yesterday. You did. And hopefully you didn't get deafened too much with the tannoy that was causing us all sorts of problems yesterday. But thanks once again. It's greatly appreciated. And hopefully we'll see you, as I say, at AP very shortly. And we look forward to it.
Same here. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All the best.
All right.
Bye.
Take care.
That was Ken and Annie talking to Nigel. And hello to Ken and Annie, because they're listening in America. Good afternoon, because it's around about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Something quickly to mention is the Wycombe Wanderers women. They're hosting opening training sessions starting in April for the 23-24 season. You can find out all the details on their Twitter, which is at WWFC Women. They're also going to be taking part in a summer tournament with London Women's as well. It's very exciting for the Wycombe Wanderers women.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Final item on the agenda for this week is our weekly catch-up with manager Matt Bloomfield, reflecting briefly on the game last Saturday, of course, and looking ahead to what's to come this week.
You know, not the first time we've been discussing a good performance, but not quite the results we felt like we could have had. The mood's been very good because we try and deal as much on the performance and as much on the evidence of what we've learnt from the games. So we did that this week. We went over bits. Obviously there was plenty that we want to improve on, but there was some positives from the performance as well, and that's what we try and do. So we analysed it, we went over it with the players, and they've been very buoyant in training this week. We've had a good week on the grass, and we're looking forward to the game on Saturday.
I'm sure you don't want to sort of praise individuals, but Chris Farino was in the Football League Team of the Day, which must be very pleasing for both himself personally, but also collectively for the team as well.
Yeah, certainly so. You know, we have, we think very highly of Chris. He's a lad who's always, one of the big things about Chris that we love about him is the fact he's always wanting to learn. He's willing to take constructive criticism on board and critique in terms of ways he can improve. But obviously we're really delighted with what he's doing at the moment, and as long as he keeps working hard and keeps listening to the advice that he's been given, then we hope that he keeps improving, and he's going to have a big career ahead of him.
A shame for Gareth to miss out with his injury and other injuries that you've been suffering as well, but again, another opportunity for others to take advantage.
Yeah, most certainly so. When one door closes, another one opens, doesn't it? You know, so obviously disappointing to miss Gareth. He's a big player for this football club, someone who we think extremely highly of. But, you know, David Wheeler was back from illness and was able to take his place on the right-hand side. TJ's come into the team last couple of weeks and looked really bright. And obviously Chem on the left-hand side has got a couple of goals for us recently, and those three are in those positions at the moment. But having said that, Nick Freeman as well came on a sub and I thought was really bright, went and accepted the ball in tight areas, showed really good courage to get on the ball. So they're showing good competition for places, and we look forward to having Gareth back when he's back and ready.
And more good news from this week that Joe Jacobson will be here next season, and also a testimonial as well. Yeah,
most certainly so. You know, JJ is one of those guys that this club has been built around over the last 9 years now, and he epitomises everything that we stand for in terms of longevity and always willing to go the extra mile. His performances on the pitch have been of such a high standard for such a consistent performer for us, and someone around the training ground who you can really, really rely on. So I'm so pleased for Joe. He's one of life's good guys, and he's been a great performer for this football club over the last 9 years, and it's a really fitting tribute for him to be able to go into his testimonial season.
I don't know if it's something we could say to you each week, just changing the number, but just 8 games to go now.
Yeah, 8 games to go, but only one at a time, and that's why I try not to fix on that number. It is what it is, however many games, but it's only one at a time for us, and that's what we have to. Each week we only concentrate on one at a time. MK Dons this week obviously been in good form themselves, and we've been watching them and analysing them, but we're confident in what we've been doing, and we have to concentrate on ourselves and make sure we perform to the level we know we can.
And should be potentially a really good atmosphere at Adams Park again, and a big crowd.
Yeah, most certainly so. You know, Adams Park's a special place to play football. I know that from my experience, but also to now be on the sidelines and see the boys been performing the way they did, especially the last home game against Barnsley. I thought they were very good, and previous to that against Fleetwood as well, I thought was a good performance. So yeah, we're looking forward to welcoming all the supporters in. That we're a bouncing atmosphere, and like I say, we're trying to do our preparation as meticulously as we can, because we have to make sure we go out and perform.
I know you're getting used to, if that's the right word, being on the touchline at Adams Park.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, of course. It's a job that I've had long ambitions to achieve. I'm extremely proud to be here, but my only focus every day during the week is to get the boys in the best place. Your football club's only as good as the players. They're the ones who are out there doing it, and our job as staff is to supplement them to get them in a place to perform, whether that's tactically, psychologically, get them ready to go and perform, and that's all our focus is on the players.
And does it feel, both with yourself and the rest of the team, like a really kind of exciting time at the moment going into these remaining games?
Oh, most certainly so. We're all involved in this life in football because we want to be involved at the right end of the table at this time of the season. This is the fun bit. This is where it really matters, and this is the bit that we want to thrive in. And over the years, we've kind of managed to find a way, and we want to find a way again. But like I say, that's the long term. In the medium to long term, the short term is just making sure we're ready for Saturday afternoon, and that can we have to use that excitement, that enthusiasm and the energy of what could be, but focus everything on just the 90 minutes at 3 o'clock on Saturday.
Pleasure to speak to the manager as always, and if you are going to Adams Park on Saturday, to back the Blues at the start of the Final Four. You might well have seen the posters in and around town as well, advertising the fact that we really are in the sort of the run-in now, the business end of the season, as some people call it. If you're not going though, don't forget you can catch full live commentary here on Wycombe Sound on 106.6 and on Wanderers TV as well. Phil will have Danny Sender alongside him up in the gantry, the Bill Turnbull gantry. Which he admitted to falling over a couple of times.
Yeah, I have as well.
Gaining access to. Is it that treacherous?
Yeah, the stairs are. I think the stairs are just slightly off.
Oh, okay.
Dear Rob.
But the architectural issue with the stairs. Slightly
or
off.
It's us, to be honest.
And don't forget you can catch this show on the podcast, wherever you get your podcast from as well. Have a great week and enjoy the game on Saturday.
Come on, you Blues.